Robin Sharma said, "Take excellent care of the front end of your day, and the rest of your day will pretty much take care of itself. Own your morning, elevate your life." So how can we master the day? Or what kind of morning routine or morning rituals should we have to make the most out of the day and the most out of life? A lot of people use what's called the miracle morning, which is a morning routine created by Hal Elrod. I also know people who use Wim Hof's method, which is a cold shower first thing in the morning with breathing. It's not really my thing, but there's something that I've started doing this summer that has been very beneficial to me, to my mood, to my energy, to how I feel about the day, and even to my productivity. And it's Stoicism. Yes, Stoicism. So what happened is that since last winter, I think when they put the curfew here in Montreal last winter, I started experiencing waves of negative feelings and waves. So some days I would be happy, some days I would feel angry and then sad and depressed and then have anxiety, and then I would feel happy again. And it was really like a roller coaster of emotions. So I tried different things to feel better. And one of the things that really worked at making me feel better was to learn about Stoicism. So first, I started listening to a podcast called Stoicism for a Better Life. And there are very short episodes that tell you how you can incorporate Stoic principles into your everyday life. And at some point, I decided to incorporate some of those teachings into my morning routine to see if it would make a difference. And it did work. I really did feel much better. So in this video, I'll share with you my 10-step Stoic morning routine. And like I said, it's been very beneficial to me. I would say more on my emotional and mental health. And if you do give it a try, let me know what you think in the comments. So the first thing is to wake up at dawn. Marcus Aurelius said, "At dawn when you awake, know that you are getting up to do the work of a human being." Apparently, the Stoic believed in rising with the sun. Yeah, I know it's super early for me too, but it seems to be a very healthy thing to do. And it's also something that many successful people preach. To be honest with you, I have not managed to wake up regularly at sunrise yet, but I have started waking up a little bit earlier. I mean like 8 o'clock instead of 10. And I can say that getting more done before noon, like getting more work done before noon, feels really good. Like it's satisfying. And I really think it did help in reducing my anxiety. The second thing is to meditate. Marcus Aurelius said, "Meditate often on the interconnectedness and mutual interdependence of all things in the universe." I usually prefer to meditate in the afternoon after exercising, but the benefits of meditation are usually greater when you meditate first thing in the morning. At that time of the day, the mind is much calmer, and also the brain produces what's called alpha brain waves, which makes it a lot easier to enter a meditative state. Plus, when you meditate in the morning, you usually have a more productive day just because your mind is clearer, you can focus more easily, and you're less easily triggered, you're less reactive to people and situations. If you're new to meditation, you can take my free class to learn the easiest and most popular meditation technique. I'll put the link in the description below. Next is to reflect on our mortality. Marcus Aurelius said, "This is the mark of perfection of character, to spend each day as if it were your last, without frenzy, laziness, or any pretending." A central idea of Stoicism is the awareness of our death and impermanence. So the Stoics constantly reflected upon their mortality, and that was not to live in fear, but to make sure that they appreciated each moment and also used their time wisely. It's really a way to stay focused on what truly matters and not waste time and energy on what doesn't. Now, the way that I like to reflect on my mortality is by answering 3 questions. I've talked about that in many other videos, but it's such an important practice in my life, so I'm gonna share the idea again with you in case you didn't hear me speak about it before. So here are the 3 questions. So the first question is, if my time on this planet came to an end right now, what would I regret not having done, experienced, accomplished, and become? The second question is, if I had 6 months to live, how would I spend the time I have left? What would I focus on for the next 6 months? And then the third question is, based on my answers to the 2 previous questions, how can I make the most of the time I have today? Next is to spend some time being grateful. Marcus Aurelius said, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, and to love." So So like many, if not all spiritual and ancient traditions, the Stoics were a big fan of a daily gratitude practice. It could be as simple as writing a few things you're grateful for in a journal or a notebook, or you could even think about them. Personally, I found that when I write them down, it's more effective, like I can feel it more. And also that if I write down 10 things, 10 to 15 things, I can really feel the positive effect of the gratitude practice more than if I only write 3 things I'm grateful for. Next is to practice voluntary discomfort. Musonius Rufus wrote, "Mastering one's appetite for food and drink is the beginning of and basis for self-control." So the Stoic believed in training the mind to become more resilient by practicing voluntary discomfort. So one way I found to apply this principle is by practicing intermittent fasting. So I try to eat between 6 p.m. and 10 a.m. most days. I also do longer water fasts, like it can be 3, 5, or 7 days, about twice a year. Next is to read a nonfiction book. Epictetus wrote, "We should not trust the masses who say only the free can be educated, but rather the lovers of wisdom who say that only the educated are free." So the Stoics considered education and ongoing learning an essential aspect of living a good life. I like to read for about an hour most days, most mornings, usually personal development or spirituality books. And taking this time to relax in the morning, to read a book, something that inspires me or motivates me, is perhaps the number one thing that helps me start the day on the right foot. The next thing is to write your goals down. Seneca wrote, "Let all your efforts be directed to something. Keep that end in view." The Stoics also believed in having goals, having something to move toward, something that sort of gives our actions a sense of purpose. I usually set and write my goals down quarterly, and then I read them every morning just to remind myself of where I'm heading. Doing this helps me be less easily distracted by shiny objects. And I also tend to procrastinate less because I always know exactly what I'm supposed to do. So if you too tend to be easily distracted and lack focus, then I highly recommend writing down your most important goals and reading them every day. Next is to prepare for the day ahead. So Stoics anticipated challenges and prepared for them. And preparing meant to be clear on their values and have strong moral principles to guide their behaviors at all times. And the reason is that when we are clear on our values and what we stand for and how we want to show up, and then when we act in alignment with our values and our moral principles, we have much greater peace of mind. So one way I found to apply this principle is to simply set an intention in the morning of how I want to show up that day, and just then make sure or do my best to honor my intention. Next, work on your MIT and don't procrastinate. Stoic also valued work and work well done, and they refused to procrastinate. Seneca wrote, "Putting things off is the biggest waste of life. It snatches away each day as it comes and denies us the present by promising the future." One of the most helpful productivity strategies I know is to eat the frog. It's an idea that comes from Brian Tracy. And eating the frog simply means to work on your most important task, your MIT, first thing in the morning. Your MIT is the one task that if you get it done, you'll feel satisfied with yourself and you'll feel like it was a productive day. It's the one task that can get you closer to your goal faster. So what helps me is to write down my most important task, my MIT, the night before. I also write down 2 or 3 secondary tasks. So this way I know exactly what I'm supposed to be working on the following morning. And this way I don't waste as much time. I'm less likely to procrastinate. And it's been one of the things that has helped to reduce my anxiety a lot. If you're new to Stoicism and you would like to dive deeper into these teachings, I would recommend reading the book Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, or you could listen to the podcast Stoicism for a Better Life. And there's also Ryan Holiday that has a podcast called, I think it's The Daily Stoic. And that's it for me. I wish you a beautiful day, a beautiful week, and I'll see you next week.